Hey, what's up, y'all? It's me, Outlaw Shah, back again. Today I'm going to be watching a video about Dan Bilzerian. He was I think he still is, a very influential Instagram influencer. He's someone who, I've been aware of at least probably for the last decade. And apparently his whole life has been a lie. So I'm eager to watch this.
So there's this guy out there named Dan Bilzerian. For those of you who weren't aware, Dan is a celebrity amongst teenage boys everywhere. He first became famous because of his Instagram page, which is basically the hardest attempt I've ever seen by an influencer to sell their lavish lifestyle. A lifestyle that just screams, "I know you wish you had this," aka how to be a tool 101. Flying on jets, riding jet skis, spending nights in bed with 10 models. As a matter of fact, his whole brand is just sexy women doing naughty things. Guns, and trying to convince everyone that he's hot with his over manicured beard. You're like 40, dude, just give it up. So while I was editing this video, I found some pictures of Dan before he grew the beard, and Jesus Christ, I see why he—
Oh, snap. That's funny. Like he looks like any typical guy. I mean, you can see, wow, that's really crazy. I mean, like generally this isn't supposed to be such a big deal, but I mean, this guy is so well known for being that like alpha dog that just gets all the chicks, and everybody sees his Instagram page and they want to be like this guy. Like he's winning. He's supposed to be a winner. And seeing this, it's just so funny because it I don't know, it's just like anybody else. That's amazing.
keeps it. He looks terrible. He's like an in-shape Shane Dawson. This is just someone I would never trust.
Like, dang, look at that. Like, look at how he looks with his beard compared to that prior photo. I mean, that's amazing. It's amazing what facial hair can do. Wow.
a lying snake that
I might have to shave once for you guys, just so you guys can know. I don't wanna be pulling the wool over y'all.
I half expect him to start slithering around every time he's on my screen. And when this guy first got famous for his Instagram post, everyone started wondering how he got this money in the first place. This is when he tried to explain that he won all of his fortunes by playing poker, which is just about the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. He acts like he was at the poker table with Russian billionaires like Matt Damon and Rounders. I'm sorry, but Warren Buffett isn't playing poker with someone who hangs out with Vitaly and Logan Paul. He's known for throwing these huge influencer parties in his Californian mansion, and he's actually made quite the online presence for himself in the last couple of years. This newfound fame has forced Dan to lie time and time again about where—
I mean, he's definitely throwing parties with, hordes of women. Like, and it's just that part's got to be real. I mean, that's not a lie. I've always believed there's more, to that than just, I think maybe most people look at that and be like, wow, women just love him. But at the same time, a lot of it's business too. I mean, all these people probably have dreams of wanting to be Instagram influencers themselves. And what better way than to ride on the coattails of this guy? Like, okay, you get invited to his party, or he shares something that you do, on his Instagram, and it gets you a bunch of followers. So you go from being, your regular, I don't know, 800 follower Susan into like a 300,000 strong, I don't know, profile, and it's all thanks to this guy. So I can see why people run over there and they're like, hey, let me party with you and we can put some pics, and everybody just wins from it.
his money truly comes from.
So how did you make your money then?
Playing poker.
You made it all playing.
Oh man, dude, I remember watching this. I remember watching this at my cubicle at work. Yes, on my cell phone. I was listening to it with headphones as I was working. And I just remember listening to it and like, man, like, and he talked about like what did he talk about? How like he was going through training in the army or the military, and those like special forces training, and he blew out both of his knees, but he had to finish both training that way. And I remember like specifically going to my coworker. He's like, this guy in his 50s. And I was like, man, did you see that Joe Rogan episode with Dan Bilzerian? Have you ever seen this guy? And he's like, dude, that guy is the biggest bullshitter. I don't trust a damn word he says. And this was a few years back. So, man, this video says anything damning, I'm gonna have to go back to that guy and be like, "You were right the whole time, sir."
in poker.
Yeah.
Wow, that is insane.
He just insists that high-stakes poker was his big ticket, and that apparently one year he made over $50 million from poker alone. Which just can't be true. There's simply not that much money in poker, and there's barely any professionals that have made more than $10 million.
And at any given point, this guy, you know, and he's a maniac, he's a billionaire. So at any point, if this guy says all in, I got to make a decision for $18 million, you know.
In every interview, that's all he does. He just babbles on and lies and lies and lies. The real truth of the matter is that he had a rich weasel father who screwed a lot of people over and went to jail for tax evasion and fraud, but still made a lot of money in that time, putting a majority of it in a trust fund for Dan before he went to
Man, I love these early photos of the guy. Wow. Well, trust fund, baby. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but we'll see.
prison. And when Dan turned 30, about 10 years ago, he got this trust fund money and started selling a teenage boy's wet dream. But now Dan's whole world is going to crash down around him, as once again we get to see a peek behind the Wizard of Oz curtain and see another one of these fake influencers selling their followers a BS lifestyle and brand.
Where do you want to be in 20 years?
The goal is to make a couple $2 billion in cannabis, spend more time surfing in Hawaii, and then I want to be president.
This guy has 32 million
Damn, he wants to be
followers
president.
on Instagram, though I would take that number with a grain of salt, as you will soon see that this guy is pretty damn fake.
But this 31,000 square foot behemoth in Bel Air is one of the most outrageous homes I've ever been invited to see.
This big house he bought with all that poker money turns out to be rented. Ouch. You know, this would be a lot like me renting a Lamborghini and then driving.
Okay, yeah, that I can see. I mean, I believe that, you know, people rent out big houses, or I don't know, you hear like rappers, they rent, I mean, not all of them, but some of them will rent like, you know, sports cars and stuff for their music videos, and a lot of people do that. I could see that being something that he did. I don't know if that's the nail in the coffin for me. I mean, at the end of the day, he still has 32 million followers on Instagram, and I'm sure that means something when it comes to making money. So, well, let's see what else.
It around, doing a little documentary about how I own it. Oh, it's just another day at the office. There's the cup holder. I'm just riding around in the Lamb. And Dan wasn't even the one renting it. He was just charging it all to a company called Ignite, a company Dan himself founded that basically sells a bunch of bullshit.
Man, that's the kind of stuff like I wish I could understand, you know. It always seems like every time I hear about someone with some expensive stuff, and when it all starts to come out, it's always like, yeah, well, there was this company or a corporation and it was charged to that. And there's always this like technical stuff in terms of how they got the money, or it, you know, it always is a big just cluster. And I don't know, I always feel like I'm just not educated on that enough, and I wish I knew so I can figure out how to drive some Lamborghinis. But it's definitely bad if he's saying that he owns something and it's not, and he's lying about it. I mean, because when you catch someone in a lie like that, it's just one of those things that destroys their entire persona. You know, like, I don't know if he's ever outright came and said, this is my car that I paid for, or this is my house. I mean, him renting the house, you know, unless he's really explicitly said otherwise. And I know Dan Bilzerian, but I haven't, like, you know, clung on to every single one of his IG posts to know what he really says. He's just a guy selling a lifestyle that's all an illusion, you know. It's just like, it's not real. I think people see that and they're like, man, how is this guy such a winner? Why do people like him so much? But he's probably just paying people money, and then that's just how it goes, and pays for them to party with them, and everybody just wins in that way, I guess.
And last year, his failure of a company lost over $50 million, so in 2020, everyone kinda knew they were doomed to fail. He was spending over $200,000 a month for this place alone,
Wow.
all for the fake flex. Other money Dan spent included $60,000 on a Star Wars gun set, a $50,000 bed frame, a $75,000 paintball field. All the women he was hanging out with were being paid to be there. And he also
100%, you know, that's 100%. I believe he was paying for all that shit, like, for all these women to be there pretending to like him, like I'm sure they're paid to be there, you know what I mean? It's just like porno or something, like the porn stars paid to be there. Like, it's not these like natural organic relationships. That's just how a lot of it goes. Does it make it bad? I don't know. Probably all legal. But does it make it an illusory lifestyle? Yeah. And if you're some young, impressionable kid, or I mean, even older for that matter, and you think, oh, this is how it's going to go down, like there's just so much more in the background that you got to know about for how these images happen on the screen. Like all this really is just like, it's almost like a magic trick, you know? You just put all the right stuff together to get people to think, you know, you're that guy, and that, you know, whatever it is. But so be it.
there. And he also spent tens of thousands to promote his Instagram page. Basically what happened here is Dan was funneling investor money into his company and then using said money to promote an image and brand of extreme wealth, almost trying to be like the modern day Hugh Hefner. But the only difference is that we knew Hugh actually had money. The man was publicly the owner of one of the most famous magazines on the planet. He was kind of like Stan Lee, but with hoes. This all while Dan got his money from his weasel father and then tried to weasel even more people out of their money himself. As it turns out, I guess the apple didn't fall very far from the tree. And at the end of the day, this is nothing more than an insecure man who needs a lot of attention. That's really why he did all this, paying millions over the years for beard manicures and models to hang around. Oh, and you can't forget the steroids. The guy whose whole brand was basically, screw you losers, my life is so much better than yours, turns out to be the biggest loser of all. You gotta love it. Everything about this man turned out to be fake, and it's sad, you know, teenage boys shouldn't be looking up to guys like this. It's really just not realistic. It's all a fantasy, a dream that a creepy little man wanted to sell you. I promise you that no one with real wealth would even have the time to do any of this. But I just wanted to say thanks for watching today's video.
Man, yeah, you know what this guy's saying? He's right. That's really all it is. It's just a fantasy life. I don't know if I don't want to say this Dan Bilzerian guy is bad, you know what I mean? Or he's some like evil person. I think he's just someone like you or me or whoever who has, you know, two choices. Work at the cubicle every day or whatever, or I don't know, party with all these people no matter what it costs. And if he can get if I can get my hands on the money and do it, maybe I would do it too, you know? Like, I don't know if I was faced with that kind of decision, would I be, you know, living in a house that costs $200,000 a month for rent? I mean, probably, just to say I did it, you know what I mean? I think the real questions here are like, did Dan Bilzerian hurt anybody? Sounds like he might have did that monetarily to quote-unquote investors. But when it comes to the investors, I mean, they're just ultimately people who just got sold on whatever dream he was selling them. Maybe they can get some money back or sue him. I don't even know if that's possible or if they just made a bad investment. I mean, you know, that really is what it is. I don't think I saw any like damning evidence from this video. I think pretty much what we got is, you know, he's a trust fund baby, so he didn't make his own fortune, and he's in a lot of debt from this company, I guess. But you know, it's not like we got to look at his actual his bankroll. I mean, he might be 50 million in debt, but have 200 million sitting around somewhere. I mean, it sounds like it was a definite lie that, you know, he made all his money from poker. Maybe he made some money from poker. You know, sometimes when you hear, especially gamblers, like they'll give you a big old story, like, yeah, you know, I won this time or whatever. Like, they'll tell you about all the times they won, or they'll tell you about all the times they're right about this particular stock going up. But you never hear about all the money they lost or all the times they made the wrong decision. And it sounds like that's just what this guy was doing, you know, like, I'm just keep going on about winning. And he just, I don't know, you know, I mean, he definitely was successful in crafting that persona for himself. He was able to do that. So in some sense, you know, he was able to make that kind of lifestyle for himself. But at the end of the day, yes, it is an illusion. But I think that applies to a lot of internet personalities, especially IG influencers, you know. A lot of it's just circumstance, but, you know, people hit that like button, they hit the follow, and they like what they see, and then, you know, that's how guys like this make that money. Is he a terrible person? I don't think he's a terrible person. I just think he did what a lot of us would have did, to avoid working that 9 to 5. So, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and if you guys are interested in any streams that I do, you can find me on twitch.tv/outlawshah. Hope to see you guys again next time. Thank you.